Everybody knows about AI. On the one side, you have the absolute fear, and on the other side, the absolute enthusiasm. But I'd like to see some real world scenarios where we all win. Today, I'm interviewing the folks from Trimate AI. I'm Paul Bloom, and you are watching In My Humble Opinion. Thank you for your time, gentlemen. We're really keen to hear from you about this very exciting area in which you have obviously jumped in with full vigor. So perhaps, Takun, if I can ask you first, can you tell us about your conversational AI and what really inspired you to create this technology?
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, it's very exciting to be here. So Kartik and I both have extensive experience working in the telephony space. We spent quite a few years working together, actually, and speaking to numerous customers of all different industries and all different sizes around their telephony needs and their conversational needs. And it was always coming back to what are the different new pieces of technology that are available in the market. And we both realized that there was a bit of a gap there because no one was bringing these really high-end, cutting-edge AI technologies and integrating them into people's phones, which was a bit of a frustration because there are amazing pieces of technology available. So we decided to start this business to do just that. And there was a few reasons that we wanted to do this, but the first is there's an obvious need for this inside of most businesses because there's a huge problem that exists today in which organizations are being constantly squeezed due to the cost of running a business, and their consumers are constantly demanding more and more with customer experience and the ability to be able to interact with organizations at all different times of the day. So having really growing expenses and higher demands from customers is a very, very hard thing for businesses to be able to juggle. So what our solution does is it comes in and it alleviates both of those problems simultaneously, because you don't need to invest a huge amount of money to be able to provide customers with the experience that they want. You can look for AI conversational tools which can automate a lot of these interactions, which leaves both the business at a win and also the customer with a win.
How does your bot differ from traditional voice assistants or perhaps other AI-driven systems that we find available today?
Yeah, with the other products that are available right now in market, based on some of the understanding that we have, is that they're using a lot of generative AI, which is stretching the capacity of what a large language model can do. Now, what that means is that a generator is built to have a conversation, but usually an inconsequential conversation. It cannot answer questions about your organization. It has a lot of latency. The response times are usually high. The integrations aren't there, and even if the integrations exist, they're quite limited. So our product basically fills in that large gap where we actually use natural language processing, which I'll dwell in a bit more detail. But natural language processing is basically the bot has the ability to understand what the person is saying in whatever n different ways they can say. For example, I want to make a booking. Can I make a booking? Hey, right now, I don't feel that well. I need to have a booking with a doctor or something like that. The bot has the ability to understand that. Now, the response part is where we give the ability for customers to have that response however they wish. So we actually program the bot to give that response that what a customer wants, and that changes a lot of things. Firstly, because the bot isn't generating responses. So we talked about NLP, where the first part I talked about how the bot understands what the person is saying, but also the second part is natural language generation or NLG, which is part of NLP. The natural language generation part we are not actually using. So the generation takes good amount of time. If you would, I'm sure everyone nowadays talk to ChatGPT. It takes a good amount of time and it keeps generating words. And it's the same with any large language model out there. So basically, having the ability to program those responses decreases the latency, number one. Number two, it makes sure that the bot is having that conversation. Naturally, imagine you're on a phone call and someone is actually taking good amount of time to, give you that answer. So that's the understanding and speaking part which changes things, and the other part is the integrations. We truly can integrate into most of the platforms out there. You're talking about third-party booking systems, CRMs. We can do the basic stuff like integration into Outlook, Google Calendar, and so on. But we can pretty much integrate with anything that's out there that has an API. And that's a huge value I think that we bring. And the last part that I do want to highlight is the scalability. We have the ability to scale pretty fast. Our infrastructure, is all in the cloud. Our bots are hosted locally. We adhere to all the compliance requirements, but we also have that built-in scalability. We can push as many bots as the customer needs. We can integrate into their contact center solutions, 3CX phone systems. We have the ability to give them bring your own SIP, which is again a unique value proposition here, because most of the offerings out there are partnered with a set provider. You have to use that provider. For us, we have the ability to let the customer choose their own SIP provider, bring in their own SIP prompts, which gives a lot of flexibility. So a lot of points out there, but long story short, we have the ability to program and customize the bot as much as the customer wishes. Having said that, we also have templates that we know have worked in the past that are no effort. You are a medical customer. There you go. This is a bot that works. You just give us your responses, we'll program it in. So yeah.
Your product is standalone and it doesn't require any additional services like the traditional contact centers that typically are offering this sort of AI technology. How does this independence, how is that benefiting your users?
Yeah, it's a good question. The goal of our product is to be applicable and usable to all different types of business and all different sizes of business. And what a lot of technology that's currently available on the market today, it requires you to have something to come to play the game. And we didn't want that. We wanted this to be the product that allows anyone to see benefit and see benefit quickly. So it doesn't matter what phone system you're using. It doesn't matter what app you're using. It doesn't matter what website you have. As long as you have interactions with your customers, and as long as you have some sort of form in which that's happening, then we can build a conversational AI solution that can integrate into that. And what that does is it opens it up. So you don't need to have some huge budget. You don't need to have 10 staff who are managing the phones. All you need to do is have some reason to have conversations with your customers. And I think that encompasses pretty much all organizations that exist.
Tell us a bit about some of the scenarios where you're having a standalone voice AI bot and where they're particularly benefiting these customers.
Yeah, sure. There's a few cases. One is the small teams or the teams that have smaller budgets. Generally, this has been a sort of solution. These sort of omni-channel solutions have been very cost exclusive. As well, organizations that have customers that are reaching out to them at all times of the day, so 24/7 organizations. Generally, this is something that's seen only for international companies, and they generally will use some sort of outsourcing methodology in which they have a contact center in some part of the world that provides these solutions. And both of these require a significant amount of investment, both with time and with money. And for a small organization, we don't have the time and we don't have the money. So what we have done is we've created a solution that can get in front of organizations and start communicating with their customers quickly, without much effort and without much investment from them. So the ability for different types of organizations to be able to investigate this technology and start to use it and see value has opened up to virtually all organizations, because the cost of using this technology is so much less than you would for hiring a staff member, and their ability for it to bring value is so much faster.
What makes your AI bots' conversational abilities more natural or intuitive compared to other solutions on the market? Karthik, if you want.
Yeah. I think I think in the previous question we talked about NLP or natural language processing. That is the key part where basically we're not trying to look for a keyword. Like for example, with the other bots or previous generation bots when AI technology wasn't available, most of the focus was on that one keyword. Like for example, you would have had frustrated experiences where the bot keeps saying, say yes to confirm, say yes to confirm, or what was that, and so on. That's because the bot in the previous technologies was specifically looking for that keyword. But the natural language processing as a technology is a game changer because there is multiple technologies that it adopts. For example, when you were to come up with a sentence that says, or you're asking the bot, I'm again, I keep going back to that one sentence because I'm quite familiar with it and how it works and so on. But I want to make a booking, right? Now, the bot, natural language processing, I'm going a bit more deeper into the technology. What it does is there's multiple techniques called tokenization, where it splits each and every word and it gives a number to it. So now, it's basically contextualizing each and every word. And then, it does techniques like stemming and limitation. And these are deep AI terms. But if I can simply put it this way, where uses, using, used are three words. So use is the stem word for all of the three words. So it adapts technologies like that to understand what you're saying. It's not just that one keyword understanding, but it's stemming the words. It's also lemmatizing the words. For example, university, universal, the the stem word wouldn't work there because universe isn't the stem word for university or universal. So then it's going back and lemmatizing it so it knows all the dictionary phrases, right? And so some of these techniques are quite deep. We are jumping into transformers as an architecture and so on. But long story short, all of these techniques mean it's able to actually understand you. It's not, it's not just matching for that keyword. It's basically dwelling into it, understanding the context. There's a lot more functions like softmax function that gets applied to then come up with probabilities as to what the next output should be or what we are trying to say and so on. But long story short, the natural language processing as a module makes sure that the bot really understands what we are saying. And that's the power of this AI technology. So that's exactly how we understand the context of what the caller is saying, rather than just coming up with just a keyword search, which it isn't a good technology anymore because we don't have to rely on that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. How do you do it? What is the technology behind the bot's ability to handle these complex conversations and recognizing the context of the words and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I think we have already discussed a bit of that where we talked about lemmatization, stemming, and all of that, and we talked about softmax functions and so on. But there's also one more key part that comes into play, which is also techniques like parts of speech. Picking up parts of speech. Again, going back to our previous techniques, what is the make of your laptop, right? Now, a make could be a noun, it could be a verb. In this context, what is the make of your laptop is actually a noun versus
Mm.
what are you making, it's a verb. So understanding this is a different, it puts it in a different sort of space where it's truly conversational, it's truly it's able to understand everything that we are saying. But also one more key thing that I would like to mention about complexities of conversations, right? We humans are, quite equipped to adapt to conversations. For example, would you like to make a booking? I ask you the question. You might say, hey, do you guys do bulk billing? And then I go, yeah, we are a bulk billing clinic, but would you like to still make a booking, or do you have any more questions? But that's an easy conversation for humans, and we have been doing it for so long that we remember context. We remember conversation flows. We come back to our previous points of conversation, and it becomes particularly hard for bots. Like, even for a large language model like you're talking about ChatGPTs or Gemini's out there, making sure that you spend enough time in programming the bot to make sure that it's coming back to the conversations. It's remembering the context. It's remembering what we were talking about before. Is some of the things that we spend exceptional amount of time on, and we make sure that our bot frameworks have these already accounted for, so that complex scenarios can be handled better. Again, another example can be, you know, I would like to lodge a ticket, but the caller might ask another question, which is like, "Are you open today? I can actually come and drop my laptop in." And then, the bot's ability to then go back and say, "Yes, we are open today from this time. You can come in by, before 5 p.m. But would you still like me to log a ticket for you meanwhile?" This is something that we spend a lot of time on. We program these frameworks, we account for all these scenarios, and we use generative AI as well. I keep pointing about how NLP and natural language processing, and we spend a lot of time in making that happen. But we also use generative AI for fallback instances. For example, the caller might ask, or someone might ask, "Hey, do you guys have any positions open right now? Can I come and work for you?" Some of these human conversations can't all be accounted for. There'll be always surprises. And LLMs or generative AI is quite good at that. And we incorporate even that for our fallback strategies. So the bot would then say, "Hey, you can check out our website, for any positions that are open currently. If there's any, we would actively let you know. Can I collect your details?" or something like that. So it's basically having those fallback responses using LLMs, accounting for all of these complex scenarios is key for us. And like I said, we spend a lot of time in this.
So tell me, what kind of industries are actually early adopters who are taking this up and really benefiting?
Sure. So we are seeing a lot of uptake in specific industries, but from our perspective and the types of customers that we're seeing picking up, it isn't really the number one definer isn't the industry. It's more to do with the personality of the caller or the amount of calls that they're getting. So what we break that down into is high call volume or high call value, and that can be across any type of industry. So initially, we've seen a lot of success in medical because they fit into both of those quite well. So an organization has 500 calls in a day and they have 3 receptionists. That's a lot to manage. On the flip side, you have an organization that only has 5 calls in a day, but each of those calls is extremely valuable. They could be a deal, or it could be a really upset customer who needs support, or whatever it is. And gauging the personality or the type of call, the characteristics that fit into those calls, those are going to be the biggest indicator as to whether or not this solution is going to bring huge value to start. When you break that down even further and start to look into different types of industries, so I said medical, so private hospitals, clinics, especially in rural areas, laboratories, we've seen success in as well. Moving across to things like real estate and automotive, so car dealerships, organizations that do a lot of sales and have both outbound and inbound sales calls. We do outbound sales bots, so booking appointments, booking in sessions to either speak with a salesman, do a test drive, something like that, have a real estate agent come and visit a house. So there's a whole bunch of different types of industries in which we're already working with and seeing large interest from customers who are coming to speak to us. It really falls back with, do you have long wait times? Do you have frustrations with missed calls? Do you have frustrations with missed calls that are really high value, and because of that, you're missing out on deals? Do you have staff leaving negative reviews because it's so difficult for people to get in touch with you? Or do you have potentially a large amount of leads that you're trying to reach out to and you just don't have the time? We've got organizations that we're working with that are doing large amounts of SEO and marketing and having people come onto their website, and there's a call to action to call a number. Customers call the number and no one answers. That's shocking. And having a chatbot there or having a voice bot that you can call means that Not only do you have 100% answer when someone tries to get in contact with your business and make a booking to speak to a salesperson or whatever it is, but also the opposite. You have a CRM that's got 5,000 contacts in it, or you do a newsletter and you've got 10,000 people signed up. Why not employ a system that once every 6 months or once every year reaches out to these people via call and asks how they're going? Have they heard about the new products? Would they like to book in and talk about something? And it's very dependent on the industry, but these pain points are consistent across industries.
If I have a workflow of sorts and I'm interested in integrating a bot into an existing workflow, how does that typically work and what results have you seen?
I think I'll take that. So, with regards to the integrations and with existing workflows, for example, if you have a phone system, some of our customers are using it as a replacement of a very complex IVR as well. So imagine you have an IVR after an IVR, so IVR then sub IVR and sub IVR and so on. You can totally get rid of that. You can simply ask the bot, hey, can you transfer my call to Kate? Kate from marketing or Kate from sales? Marketing, please, and then that's it. The call goes off. Again, you don't have to ask, you don't have to tell the caller what the bot can do. The bot can literally just say, "How can I help you?" And the bot will understand what the caller is saying. It can be a request that's outside of this, but it can go, "Hey, I'm just right now only employed to transfer calls. Would you like me to transfer to someone?" So that's one of the scenarios. The other one is a really good one is a full-blown proper receptionist, taking in requests. That might be for, I think Quinn talked about multiple industries, but if you were to take medical as an example, I would like to book an appointment. Are you a bulk billing clinic? Yes, we are. We accept, and this is our gap fee. We accept Medicare and so on. So the bot actively responds with, the responses that the customer want us to program to. That's just handing out information. We call that FAQs. But then it can also book appointments. So when you're talking about booking appointments, your Google Calendars, your Outlook, API-able platforms. I think for medical industry, you have Health Engine, which is big. There is other platforms as well, but if you were to look at various different industries, everyone uses something different for their booking appointments. We can integrate into them using APIs. From an MSP point of view, we have the ability, and we have done in the past, ticketing systems, CRMs, various different CRMs from a sales point of view. Interestingly, CSAT as well. So imagine in the end, the bot asks, how would you like to rate us on a scale of 1 to 5? And then they say 4 or 5. That basically gets, goes to a dashboard, which the customers can see, which is our own portal, where they'll be able to see that out of 100 calls, say 30 of them rated as, 4, 40 of them rated as 5, and so on. So there is multiple places where we can leverage of this technology, a lot of integrations that are currently available, and a lot of our customers are in different industries, and we do find use cases for different integrations, based on what they're doing. But as a standard, I think it's heavily sending emails, booking appointments, answering FAQs, and replacement of IVRs has been pretty big.
What other examples do you have?
One that we keep going back to, and I think is going to be increasingly important over the next several years, is management of data, collection of data, and understanding of the different types of requests that are coming in from customers. So most organizations have some sort of finger on the pulse of the types of requests that they're getting. What our solution does, especially if it's a first answer point, is it starts to collect data about what are the questions that are coming through. So over the last 2-week period, you had 550 calls. Of those, they get broken down into 5 buckets. Of those 5 buckets, you could perform 3 or 4 actions that would automate this. And then one of those buckets requires X and Y complex tasks, which necessarily need to be handled by a person. This is extremely valuable data. And most organizations, they're starting to collect it. With our AI as the first answer point, not only are we actioning a lot of the requests, answering a lot of the questions, booking a lot of the appointments, ensuring people are getting through to the right person quickly, but we're also then collecting data. And that is useful for organizations so that they can improve business proficiencies, business operations, putting their staff at the right places at the right times, all of these different things. And so far, virtually every organization that we've worked with, the expectation that they've had as to where the bot is going to be most valuable has been true, but we've also been able to come back and give recommendations to improve the bot and improve the automation and sometimes even improve the business process because we just have great visibility now and timestamps and data. So that's one huge point that we're seeing. Another huge value that we bring is instant answering 24/7. So organizations now have the ability to be as front of their mind of the customer, and the customer can reach out whenever they want. As to whether or not there's a human that they can transfer to at that time, maybe yes, maybe no, but the bot can collect data and collect the caller's name and number and reason for calling, and then tomorrow we'll get back to you when we're free, or log a ticket, or check an order number, or check a stock level. The use case is really up to the business. Similarly, we can do overflow. So it depends how you want it. The AI can be at the front of the phone. It can act as triage, and it can answer calls, and it can say, what's your problem? Or everything's completely broken. I need to speak to someone now. That gets transferred. But someone says, I have a question about my invoice. Can you send it to me again? So the bot can automatically do that, and it doesn't require that going through to a person. These automatic actions are really valuable. So, I'm not sure what was the date of my booking. We'll send through the booking details again, rather than that having to transfer to a person. So it can be overflow. It can be when no one's there to answer, or it can be at the front. It can be answering as many questions. So the amount of tasks and the amount of customer interactions that go through to people is limited, lessened, but more complex and requiring people. So maybe 50%, 60%, 70% of people are only coming for the most basic requests. The AI can handle those, and then the more complex, those then funnel through to people.
What kind of solutions do you offer as Trimate? And of course, if I have something a little unique, do you provide customizations?
Yep. So with regards to the solutions, we have various different product tiers, and based on our discussion so far, I'm sure everyone would have understood that we offer a multiple channel, or as many channels as possible. We offer the chat part, we offer the voice part. We also have integrations into Teams. So if someone were to communicate through Teams, we offer that as well. So there's multiple channels, hence why there's multiple tiers. But we recently we have introduced something called personas. What that essentially does is it takes out the complexity of building the bot, from a partner or who is trying to configure the bot, and make it quite simple. So what that means is that a medical bot, we know, has X amount of features. We know that has X amount of structure to it, or if I may put it, like, it has rough structure to it. Now, what we've developed a persona is just around that. So what we're doing is asking just the questions, responses, basic, simple walkthrough, like a configuration wizard that takes out all of the complexity, unknowns out of it. It's a set template. You literally go through a wizard, push it, done. And for customizations, this is again set templates, based on what we know so far. In these industries, we have developed ready to go templates, ready to go solutions that can be deployed within minutes, right? But if a customer comes to us and asks, hey, I need AI to perform X, Y, and task, it's supposed to make an API call first to our internal system, check for something. Again, just as an example, there might be an MSP or a customer who might say, hey, can you pick up the calling line ID, check through our CRM records, who is calling, greet them with the name, and ask them to confirm their date of birth, and verify that as an identity for them, and then proceed and then ask X, Y, and Z details. This is something that we unique for the customers that we can definitely accommodate. Hence why we have something called an enterprise tier, where we sit down, gather all the requirements. Again, the best part about this is that the customer just has to give us what they need, and we program it, we configure it, we test it, we make sure that the outcome for the customer is there, however they want it. And that's the whole point of the enterprise tier. So we have the standard ready to go build solutions, but we also have customizable versions that can be doing various different tasks for our customers. And I think as we keep going with these technologies more and more, we will start to discover that a lot of customers want more. So
Mm.
they will come back and ask for more from the bot. But our pattern has been the customer starts off with something of a predefined solution and then comes back to us saying, hey, we love it. Let's move on now and do a lot more than what we're currently doing.
How do you stay updated on the latest advancements in that whole language processing and AI space?
Yeah. Um, Look, we are actively, searching for new and innovative ways as to how to improve our NLPs. I can't, it's our IP, but I can't go too deep into it. But we have there was a time where our NLPs were doing well, but when words, for example, were getting picked up, I can't remember the exact examples, but there were instances where the words were slightly getting picked up in a different way. We had to add those synonyms, teach the NLP that this is what the word stands for, and so on. But we have done something innovative within the way the bot understands what we are saying, not just NLPs. We have added some LLM components to it that makes it exceptionally better than any NLP that's out there in terms of understanding it and how we can uh, customize the user experience. This can only be described by if you were to have a conversation with the bot, but it's basically you can be talking paragraphs to the bot, but it'll be able to understand what you're saying. And that to us is pushing the limits, pushing the boundaries. And this is something that we highly value it and we are pretty proud of. But also in general, I think AI is a very fast evolving space, and I make sure that I'm completely updated with what is currently happening. Might it be best cybersecurity practices? For example, there's every day there's new different kind of attack that comes in, and strategies to also sort of how do we beat those attacks. So again, following the best guidelines that have been established, staying up to date as to what is happening in this space. We have our own signature prompts that'll handle prompt injection attacks, other attacks that are specific to AI industry that have already been tested, configured, tested thoroughly and put into motion. So yeah, so our strategy has been trying to stay ahead of the curve, making sure that we are putting in that 30-40% extra effort to make sure that we're slightly better than what is out there. I think that's key for us.
No, that's a good strategy. So when people interact and engage with your voice AI, what do they say? What kind of reaction do you get from them?
Yeah, I can take this one. So far, the feedback's been really positive. We're in this tricky space in which we can do things like voice cloning. We can do things to make it sound so much like either a specific staff member or so much like a person. We're bouncing back and forth as to whether or not this is the correct thing to do. I personally prefer having a voice that still sounds like a robot, as long as it's fast and understands and speaks in a way that is easy to understand. I think then the customer is going to get the best experience. I don't want to hide from the fact that this is a bot, because it is a bot and it works really well, and that's fine. So when people speak to it and they get a booking, or they speak to it and their question is answered, that's a really great outcome. And so far, all of our customers who are using it have been providing really positive feedback. And people who speak to it, whether it's customers or the customers' customers or friends and family who've tried the solution, they've all been extremely impressed. What's good is we have numerous types of voices we can use with different accents. We've got male or masculine and feminine. We have different languages that the bot can speak in as well. So it has the ability to switch to Greek or Mandarin or Hindi or whatever the customer needs, which is a huge value proposition for a lot of organizations as well. Most organizations that have used this bot for now 1 or 2 months are coming back to us and saying, okay, it's already doing 20 or 30%. Can we now push it up and increase the capabilities and capacity that it has? Because they see the value. And only once you've dipped your toes into it and you've started to experience it, and we've provided more analytics and insight and discussed the different use cases into individual businesses, to organizations who don't have much experience with this realize that it's just like a staff member. On day one, it's in training and it's still learning. And after 2 to 3 weeks, it's getting better. And after 6 months, it's even better, and you give it more responsibility. And 2 years from that, it's a really, really important part of your team. And this technology is the exact same. The organizations that jump on board and start to use it now will be learning how to use the technology, and we'll be guiding them through the process. And then 6 months from now, they'll be amazed that they hadn't used it earlier. In 2 years, be a huge part of their business.
How do you handle that sort of data privacy and security, especially with all this voice data?
Yeah. So with regards to the security, right? Firstly, if you were to look at the compliance standards and what your Australian customers need, or whether it be Australia, New Zealand, wherever they are, we make sure that the bots are hosted locally in the local data centers. For Australia, I think that's Australia Southeast 1, which is GCP Sydney data center location. And I'll have to see New Zealand's location, but if the location doesn't exist, we go through great lengths of actually putting the data locally, so that it's not actually going outside. The second thing is redaction that we offer as a standard strategy, where imagine you're trying to collect a patient's data. Might it be a simple question like what is your date of birth or something like that, and we make sure that the bot literally hears and forgets. So there's not going to be anywhere stored. It's completely redacted from the logs. It doesn't exist anywhere. We have the ability to retain, and we're talking about transcription and logs, not the voice part. Something that we can store for up to 365 days from a retention standpoint, or we can customize it based on how the customer wants. And with regards to the redaction strategies as well, there is various customizations that we offer based on what the requirements are. And from a security standpoint, we have data loss prevention strategies as well that we implement. And again, this is heavily secured from a various might it be IP restrictions, reverse proxies, because it's all hosted in cloud. We make sure that there is security at every level, from your basic TLS, your webhook securities, everything from end to end. And all of our the platform, the main bot and the framework where it's hosted and everything, the bot part is HIPAA compliant, it's ISO compliant, it's SOC 2 certified. I have ISO standards, multiple of them that it's certified with. With regards to the integrations and middleware and so on, they're again SOC 2 compliant. So the end-to-end solution is completely compliant with various security standards, and based on where the location is, we offer that compliance requirements tick box as well. And one final thing is about the call recordings. So with the call recordings, we have the ability to provide you the call recordings, and we make sure that the storage of it is within the local data centers, and we are not storing it anywhere else, and it's only stored whichever location you're part of. For Australia, we host it on AWS, but again, it depends on where you are, and we can definitely provide that tick box.
It's so good to see that the whole security aspect of it wasn't an afterthought. You've actually thought about it from the get-go. Very often we see the inverse, which is a scary thing. So, I mean, this is all very exciting. So what's next? What are the next sort of enhancements and features and that sort of thing that you're planning to add to your voice bot?
from a roadmap point of view, I think for us, the biggest thing would be giving in those integrations because right now integrations are available, but we are trying to provide them, and we do most of the programming part. But we right now have a portal where we are trying to add more and more so that partners can sort of just with one-click options, standard built integrations that they can just use. Um, and we're working on billing, which can be more look more towards automation side. APIs for billings, basically increasing the capabilities of the bots as well. We are trying to see how we can sort of make the bot do more. For example, I think Quinn talked about uh, languages that we offer. Again, languages is something that there is the auto switch option, but the translation doesn't go well. So again, we go through extreme efforts to actually program the bot in local languages. AI translation is good, but it doesn't go well when it's there are still that nuances within the language that
Mm.
that are hard for AI to catch on. And we make sure that we hire local experts from a response point of view and language point of view, so that it speaks naturally in the local language without making those errors that translation might cause. Yeah, so we have heaps of stuff that we've put in on roadmap that's going to come up in the next 4 to 5 months, which is going to make our AI offering, I think, one of the best in market.
Where do you see voice AI technology heading, say, in the next 5 or 10 years? And how do you as Trimate, how do you stay ahead of the competition?
Yeah, it's a very exciting forward vision. My and Karthik's goal, one of the major goals of this business, is to ensure that customers never need to wait on hold and businesses don't need to have missed calls. And I think every single person that you speak to in modern society has to deal with this frustration, and it shouldn't be. So one of the major goals is no more wait times, no more customers waiting on hold. Someone calls up your business, they're off the phone as quickly as possible. It's a fast-paced society, so ensuring that everyone has the ability to contact your organization, get what they need, and move on with their day, that's one of the first goals. Allowing staff to be more free and not have to focus on mundane tasks. I think that's a really important thing for us to be able to focus on. And speaking with different organizations, we're going to be able to understand where are their individual pain points and what are the dull and repetitive tasks that your staff have to focus on, and how can we build automation so that they don't need to do that. And it's been with all leap forward in technology. It allows people to elevate themselves and focus on more complex tasks. Our main goal to be able to stay ahead is to continue working with awesome partners and to continue working with awesome customers to see their pain and to understand what are the different ways that we can build better technologies and better automation so that these pain points disappear. And the more we're with our customers and close to them and close to our partners, the more we're going to be able to understand where this technology fits and where it doesn't fit. Because it's easy as a technology provider to say, okay, it's going to be perfect over here, but it's important for the rubber to hit the road and to actually speak with these companies. So the more that we can speak to customers, the more that we can speak to partners, and the more that we can experiment with technology, the more that we'll stay ahead.
Oh, brilliant. You had me at no more wait time.
Yes.
It was, I mean, that must be the most painful experience. And today's generation, then they go to the chatbot and hope that that's a better, quicker experience. Not always. So this is really, really exciting. Thank you so much, Tarquin, Karthik, for spending some time with me today, going through, what seems to be a really solid approach to using AI in, some very, very obvious and common areas we see in business today. It's been brilliant. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Really appreciate your time today. Wish you
Thanks, Paul.
all the best
Thank you
for
so much,
future
Paul.
endeavors.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you very much. And we'll
Cheers.
see you soon.
People.
Ciao.